Hi, and welcome everyone to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. Today we are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 on the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you all. Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, welcome to Ethereal Encounters Unveiled. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network. So blessings and thank you so much for being here. So today, sorry for the late start. We had a little bit of a techie problem. Life wouldn't be life without one, right? So for decades, the subject of unidentified anomalous phenomenon, which are UAPs, they used to be called UFOs, but that's what we call them now. That was relegated to the fringes, right? But in a seismic history-making shift, the conversation about crashed spacecraft and non-human remains is no longer coming from the whispers in the desert. It comes from decorated intelligence officers testifying under oath to Congress. So at that point, the game was changed, right? So we're here tonight to discuss basically the sky and what's going on up there. We're talking about claims about whistleblowers in the U.S. government, and if they are running a multi-decade program to reach about these reversed engineered non-human craft, and whether or not they critically, some say, possess non-human biologics. These revelations force us to confront the most profound questions a civilization that can ask. And I think we should take this very, very seriously. But are we ready for first contact? What do these accounts of crashed retrievals really tell us? And what does it mean for the future of humanity? Today, I'm super excited. We have Joe Montaldo joining us, and he's going to help us navigate this explosive and transformative territory. He's a veteran in the field, and he's also director of I.C.A.R. So let's welcome Joe. There we go.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, hello, y'all. Sorry. It's weird. I'm doing it on my phone today, so it's kind of weirding me out a little bit.
I know. A little bit of a technical problem, but that's okay. We can hear you good.
Yeah, such is life. Such is life. It's there's always something weird going on lately, though. I mean, when you like 3-eye Atlas flying around out there, is it an alien? Is it a spacecraft? Is it something else? So you just, hey, Michelle, it's kind of strange how much new phenomena seem to pop up on our planet every day. A lot of it turns out to be nothing, a lot of it's just what it is. It's nothing, but
Yeah.
a lot of it's overactive imaginations. But occasionally there's something good that comes up. But people ask me all the time. I was doing a lecture just recently, and a gentleman asked me, said, "Well, if I was to start looking if I was to start looking into this, where should I start?" And I said, "In the past." I said, "As far back as you can go." I said, "You know what? Go backwards in time and look about things flying around in the skies. And then look at the accounts of giants and little people and get the description of them all." I said, and I go back as far as you can and then work you back forward to modern times. And then start comparing what they were seeing and what we're seeing. I said, first off, anything flying more than 200 years ago is of immense interest. I mean, really. I mean, nothing, you got to go back 200 years, and that's the hot air balloon. Before that, oh, guess what? There was nothing flying. But yet there seems to be big mentions of things flying around in the air for 5,000 or 6,000 years. Actually, if you go back with the Egyptians and the Indians say, almost 10,000 years. And since we know there's a sunken city off the coast of India that's 12,500 years old, 10,000 seems to be a pretty accurate date. So it looks like whatever this is, or whatever's been going on, seems to be something that we have been dealing with for a long, long, long time. And people ask me all the time, "Well, what are they here for?" Well,
Yeah.
depending on when they got here, because I always get asked, why are they still running experiments? I said, well, it's not always necessarily experiments. I said, I said, if you do it the right way, you get taken pre-birth. I said, so they take you while you're still in your mother's womb. They bring you up there, they examine you at least twice before you're born. They take you shortly after you're born, and then probably not until you're 2 or 3. I said, if I had $1 for every kid who told me about their bug-eyed friends or their reptilian friends, I could retire.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous on how many kids. And the operative word is friends.
Yeah.
Fear doesn't seem to come, and fear starts around puberty up until about age 30, and it's probably because whatever ET is doing, the worst of it is probably inside that decade, from breeding experiments to all kind of other kind of experiments that they do, from different types of stress they put humans under. There's a lot of things that goes on in that 10 years, especially I like to call it matchmaking, but there's a lot of that goes on. But after that, some contactees or abductees are retired, meaning they really have no more usefulness to the aliens, other than maybe their children might still be taken.
Mm,
Some contactees or abductees turn into contactees or into keepers or into communicators and actually kind of work along the alien agenda's lines. So they just stay part of the project basically until they die. Or until, depending on what kind of contactee they are, a lot of them will be retrieved at right around the moment of death or shortly after. That's
yeah.
what's so weird about this. Humans don't realize this. We think we die, it's over. No, that's bullshit. It's not over. And then a good friend of mine the other day who's a Christian preacher goes, well, Joe, that's not right. You're taking your soul. Basically, he said you don't get to go to heaven. He said, what kind of bullshit is that? I
Yeah.
said, I said, I would bet somewhere along the line you agreed to this. I said, but think about it. If they take you and put you in one of their host bodies like they use, I said, your lifespan is limitless. You just became immortal. And I said it's always been funny to me is how many UFO sightings we get over hospitals, mortuaries, and graveyards, and we get lots of them. And from what they had say, they can take your consciousness up to 3 days after your death.
Jeez.
It's
But what
completely
about
separate.
people? What about people that have had NDEs? I've interviewed so many of them, and they never really include, aliens or those type of biologics. Do you think that they do that on purpose, like deceive us?
Well, there's a lot of deception going on in a lot of ways. So somehow, a long time ago, I got put in charge of military abductions. Not really. Okay, I don't go around. I'm not the guy who gets you military abducted. I'm the guy who tries to keep you from getting military abducted. But along with that and a few other things that were going on, there seems to be control through fear. It
Mm,
doesn't work on everybody. People like myself and other people, that's not something that's going to work. So you have to find a different way. But it does work on a large population. I mean, look at our population today. Just look at our social, economic, and political environment today worldwide. A lot of what's controlled is by fear. It
yeah.
works good, and ET and everybody else in between knows about it. And somebody asked me today how many hybrids are on the planet. Not near as many as people think, but there are a few.
Mm,
Rachel's Eyes, there's a book called Rachel's Eyes, which is a good place for people to start. She talks about her daughter, who was a hybrid. She talks about
hmm.
going to school and going to college and how she had to have special food brought to her. The government knew all about her. She had regular exams. They brought her. She was just so I don't know how aware you are of that, but through the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of what we call missing baby syndrome.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
so we studied over 10,000 cases over a 15-year period. So these were women who were pregnant, had gone to the doctor, had ultrasounds, blood work. They were pregnant. No ifs, ands, or buts, no mistaking. They were pregnant. 3 months later, they weren't pregnant. But what was weird was it's not just they weren't pregnant. There was no damage to the womb. There was no damage to anything. Even the hormone balance was back in check. And we both know that's a physical impossibility for an
Sure.
ordinary human. If you had a spontaneous abortion or things like that, or something went on, um, those hormone balances would be out for a while before they caught back up. So here we have this whole section. Then we start finding out that some of these women are being brought back to the ship to deal with these children. Usually, it would be like their child and several other children that they would be dealing with. And the reason why is these children just were not quite they couldn't live here either because of their gifts stood out too much or their looks stood out too much, but whatever it is, it kept them from being here. So technically when they say there's hybrids, there are hybrids, but the hybrids are way closer to what we are today than what you would think of an alien hybrid to be.
Yeah.
They
Michelle
have
is
gifts.
asking if they know they're hybrids. That's a good
A lot
question.
of them do. Okay, so a lot of them don't know outright in the beginning, but most of them figure it out by their mid-20s. So contactees, like everybody, go through stages. So usually, if you start realizing there's weird stuff going on until you're young, by the time you're into your teens, you're already looking at alternatives other than just everyday religion. You'll start looking into paranormal, and as things move along, somewhere down the line, something will strike a familiarity to you. You'll be reading somebody's work or an abduction case or something, and you'll be like, "Oh shit, that's me." And then you first get that first awakening. And then after that, a lot of this stuff just starts falling in place. You start realizing that you're not an everyday normal person, that you do have gifts, that you are empathic, and a lot of them are telepathic. They realize this, and then they realize, people like to say star seeds and indigos and star
Yeah.
children, but they're all the same thing. They're all the same type of being. It's just for some reason humans have an issue with labels. Let's just be honest about it. We can't help ourselves. We got to label everything, and we can't just give one thing one label. Yeah, we get But anyway, but those children that were born or were seen when they had been taken around 3 months, and they looked at these children and said, "Oh no, this child cannot live on Earth." Maybe like I said, because it could be looks, it could be abilities, it could be a combination. But for whatever reason, they go back to the ship and they live with the community, or they go to one of the colonies or one of the worlds and they live there, but they don't have to live here. There's other places for them to go. And that's the other thing we were talking about. So when you die and they take your consciousness and they upload you into a new body, you're not going to be coming back to Earth. One, it would be too tempting for you to do something stupid, like contact people you know. But you go to other worlds. You don't even stay on the ships. They usually send you to a different world, usually somewhere you're already familiar with.
But don't they
Uh,
just make us forget? Don't
no,
don't they wipe our memory?
no reason to. So a contact deed, once you, so somewhere before your death, probably within a couple of years, you'll start getting a sense of something different, and they'll give you an understanding of, look, you've already seen off-world stuff. You know a lot about what's going on by this point, and you're kind of like, okay, well, I can go ahead and die peacefully and just be whatever the universe wants me to be, or I can take this offer and go do this. And a lot of times, they'll offer the children and other children, and so when you get there, you'll recognize people, you'll know people. You won't be like you don't know people there. You'll
Mm-hmm.
go there and you'll see. And then what's strange about it is, and this is a little eerie in a way. So let's say that your great grandmother removed 40 times was a contactee. She'll probably be there because their lifespan is unless they get killed by something, as long as they're anywhere near a place where their consciousness can be uploaded, they'll just be put into a new body.
But how is that a win for them? What are they
It's
gaining by?
eternal life. It's eternal life on a consciousness level that humans won't achieve for millions of years. We're nowhere near where the Greys are consciously, or the reptilians or humans. We're just infants. We're not even really infants. If you think about the universe, we're just freaking still. We're just inside the egg still. We haven't even left our planet.
Yeah.
Uh, so I mean, until we really reach out and become part of the galactic consciousness, we're more of a threat than we are a help. With
Mm-hmm.
you carrying, nuclear bomb making, cold fission trying to be making, helium-3, let's blow some more shit up. We're already
Yeah.
talking about colonize our entire solar system. We're planning on doing it in under 100 years. What does that say for the rest of the galaxy? It says we're coming for you. That's what it says.
Yeah.
So from an alien point of view, they're looking at us thinking, okay, look, you have a lot of potential, but you're really, really, really dangerous. You can't even organize your own planet. You can't. We don't even have a one world government. As far as I know, there are no races out there that are part of the Congress and all that, or the council, that are not a united planet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think. I think it's probably a prerequisite. You probably have to be a united planet just to be a member. And we can't even unite in the UN. We're trying to blow each other up. It's ridiculous. So when you look at this world, all you can do is pick and choose the humans. So what they did was, however long ago this started, they took a bunch of humans and they have been following those family lines ever since. And they do not abduct outside those family lines. And people get mad at me when I say that, but people don't realize A family line that started 200,000 years ago today is immense. I mean, it crosses a lot of family lines. It's not, you're talking, Alfred Weber did the math one time live on air, and I literally for 2 years I got emailed to it. He goes, well,
Mm.
Joe, if you do the math, 15% of the world's population is 1.5 billion. And he said that's what all you researchers say is being taken. It's a lot of people.
But what does that do to your belief in God? I mean, you sound like you believe this. How does that affect your belief in God?
Well, first off, I don't believe in extraterrestrials. I actually physically know they exist. So it's a little different for me. But as far as God goes, God's God. God, it says in the Bible, He has many rooms in His mansion. Only an idiot would think that we're His only creation or even His final creation.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're living in a 14 billion year old universe that's going to live for another trillion years or so. I mean, no telling what's going to come out. No telling what we're going to create. In 100 million years, we will be God. We will have the essence to be able to create, destroy, move, probably. And give us a billion years, we'll be like the light beams. The essence of God will be pure energy, just travel through the universe of thought, created thought, appear wherever
Mhm.
we want to appear, look like whatever we want to look, create whatever we want to create, simply through thought. That is God. So when you look at a light beam, somebody asked me this the other day, what is the difference between a light beam and God? I said, you want to know what the difference is? They said, yes, God created the light beam. That's the only difference. I would imagine their power range is really close,
Mm.
and those are beams and entities that were probably created in the beginning of time, not
Yeah.
in growth time. I imagine life has gotten shorter throughout the universe, not longer, because, if you let things live too long, they tend to get in trouble. Just be honest about it. Especially humans, man.
Yeah.
We need to develop a little ways before we start living 10,000 or
Yeah.
100,000 years. But really, truly, it is interesting because we get tons of reports from hospitals and mortuaries. Matter of fact, they got two clips of video, one out of a New York morgue and one out of a Miami morgue, where there's a gray standing in there with two bodies, floating them out into the middle of the floor. And you see these blue beams engulf them, and then another like looks like a kind of a reddish orangish blur just shoots up through the ceiling. The two bodies drop to the floor and the gray is gone.
Mm.
So they've got this twice on camera. It's almost like the grays one because grays have a tendency, just like all aliens, whatever's in their technology or in their makeup tends to blur electronics. And then so the fact that there's two of these suggests to me that they wanted to be seen.
Yeah.
Then from time to time they let us see things because seeing UFOs are hard. Everybody always tells me everybody can see a UFO. Well, really, then why don't they? I've asked this question in a million lectures, all of television programs, radio shows. I said, if everybody on this planet could see them, why don't they? I said, Mexico City, 1990s. 1 million people reported seeing a UFO, including the mayor, the police chief, several religious people, lots of other people. Okay, that's great,
Yeah.
right? Just 22 million people in Mexico City. Where were the other 21 million people? What is going on? Phoenix, Arizona, Phoenix Lights. A couple of thousand people saw in a city of what, 2.5 million at the time? Where was everybody else sleeping? And it was on, just like in Mexico, Phoenix was on the news live as it was happening. And
Yeah.
only that, because you can see in a video, there's a couple of them where somebody's showing you what's in the sky, and you can actually see it on the camera, but yet the person standing next to him couldn't see it.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because I think in order to see a real UFO alien craft, you have to have been exposed to them somewhere along the line. I think you have to be pre-exposed to see it. I don't think it just. I mean, there's too many places: New York City, London, Paris, a couple other big cities where there have been craft over the cities and no one saw them, and they weren't cloaked. I mean, some of them we even picked up on stationary cameras. So I mean, you have to wonder why isn't everybody else seeing these things?
Yeah.
And I only think some of the technology picks it up from time to time. Probably a cross between atmospheric and a type of lens or flare lens that cameras are using because of speed. It's like 5,000 per second. They might actually catch something every once in a while. Or
So
again,
are
they
they
might
the
just
fortunate are they the fortunate ones, or are the ones that don't contact or can't see the fortunate ones? Like, how do you look at it? Is there a difference?
well, okay. So if you're an abductee, then you probably consider the person not being taken fortunate. If you're a contactee or a keeper, you're probably thinking the person not, you're probably feeling sorry for the person not being taken. It just depends where you are in the program because when you're first being taken by aliens, there's a lot of fear, a lot of animosity.
Yeah.
And we're pretty sure they used the British Isle as a testing area, like oh, like the control group for the study, because they have classic alien abduction 101 all over England all the time, and those are usually violent, aggravating, mean. Everybody, the people when you interview them are already pissed off or angry, but yet you can go all around the rest of the world, which there are cases like that, but most of them are more like, well, no, I'm seeing this might be a good thing, and the aliens they're not eating us or killing us, so maybe it's a good thing.
Mm,
It really
yeah.
where you are. I mean, most contactees, because I tell this to people all the time, you can fight this all your life and fight everything else in your life, and you're going to lose because it's too much to fight, especially alone. But if you know that you're a contactee and you accept and you embrace and you understand what you're getting into, you'll be surprised how much easier your life becomes because you just one of the biggest problems of your life just went away. You're now just part of the program, and you can go on with your life and incorporate that into your life, which is
Mm,
what we teach most contactees to do, incorporate it into their life so they can survive and live and have children because if not, they're going to go crazy. Because you know when they're coming, even abductees, even though they don't know what it is yet, they know it. They can sense it. They can feel it in their gut. They start getting antsy and jumpy, and their stomach starts getting sick, and they don't know what it is. That's why it makes them sick. But a contactee, when they first sense that thing running up their back and then down their body, that energy, they know they're on their way. They've made contact with the gray or whatever alien it is, and they know it. So they relax into it a lot more because, and also too, by the time you get to 28 or 30, most anything the aliens are going to do to you that would be considered nasty is over and done with. You
yeah.
don't hear those kind of experiments, and you really only hear that kind of stuff between puberty and 28 or 30. After that, the whole type of contact changes. Like I said, they either retire you or you become useful, you become part of the program. Because you'd be surprised how many contactees tell you about other contactees on board their ships, holding their hands or sitting there with the kids talking to them and cracking
Yeah.
jokes and stuff. You hear this a lot. You'll hear a lot of them, with the groups of children basically being surrogate moms, for lack of a better way of saying
Mhm.
it. So there's a lot of this stuff goes on in these ships, and these ships are huge. These aren't little bitty tiny things. They're the size of a moon. That's why you can't get close to Earth. Shit, I think they're bigger than the moon. Actually, the three seen by the sun are huge. They're at least 4 or 5 times the size of Roman. That's and then now NASA says they think they found at least 56 Dyson spheres. That's a technology so far beyond us that it's not even funny. NASA's pretty sure that this is an advanced technology. Dyson spheres is when they build a sphere around a sun and they inhabit the sphere. That's a technology. I mean, we're not even nowhere near close to anything like that. Like I said, we ain't even got to Mars yet, much less building any spheres. But at first, they didn't think it was true, and then they started realizing different amounts of lights coming as parts of the suns are being blocked out. And since it's not an asteroid field, because they could see that, they realized it's something denser that can block out the solar radiation, which more than likely is something that's made by an extraterrestrial life, not a thing. So, and James Webb on 3 occasions now had found things on planets. They found hydrocarbons on one planet, which is what's given off by gasoline and stuff like that. So they're pretty sure there's at least industrial type of life there. They found several other things in atmospheres of planets that suggest there's life on those planets.
Mhm.
They're pretty sure they're going to find life on at least 3 moons and maybe even Pluto and Mars for sure, maybe even Venus. So it's looking more and more that life is not the exception, but life is the rule. Looking, so think of this: if we find life in 6 or 7 or 8 places in our own solar system, and you start crossing through our galaxy where there's trillions of planets, the amount of life becomes staggering. And then when you start multiplying that across the galaxy and I mean the universe itself, it's a number we don't even have yet. It's well
Oh,
beyond.
yeah, absolutely. Do you think Jake Barber made it popular with his program? And he's a whistleblower, very well-known whistleblower. Do you think that you can contact them through these, what is it called, psionics or something that they're using?
You can't
Is that
contact the aliens at all unless they want to be contacted.
yeah.
And they're not going to let you. If you're not part of their program, they are not talking to you. So I can tell you now, anybody says anybody who tells you they've talked to aliens that is not a contactee is lying to you. They do not talk. They have no use for the human race outside of what they're doing. They don't mess with us. They don't want to be bothered with us. They don't show us their craft. Think of they could a long time ago let the human race know they're here. Just show up in mass and not kill us, and we'd be like, wow, look, aliens, great, and even helping us. They're not interested. We're pretty sure they're the ones who created the RH negative so that they could slightly move our race in a different direction because we're
Mhm.
diversifying and splitting away from the RH positive and slowly but surely becoming more and more and more. I mean, it went from 0 to 15% in just 40,000 years. 40,000 years from now, it'll be 30 or 40%. And RH negative people have different personalities and different attitudes than RH positive people. They're different. And the majority of contactees are RH negative. So there's got to be a reason for it. If RH negative only makes up 15% of the world's population, but yet makes up the majority of abductees by 70%, there's
Yeah.
something going on there, and it's something that we need to watch for. But we know that it's different. We know that before RH negative, everybody was RH positive, brown eye, brown head, brown skin. That was the human race before that, and then bam, O negative, RH negative comes on and we change. We have green eyes, we have blue eyes, we have gray eyes, we have different kind of attitudes. It's amazing how many people in Hollywood and in politics have RH negative blood and green or blue eyes or both. It's the majority, and they're the minority. Think about it. Green eyes are only 2% of the world's population. Blues are only 14. But yet, when you look at a Hollywood star or someone in Congress, the majority of them have colored eyes.
But what about all these whistleblowers? I mean, Lou Elizondo started that. Um, he came out, he was like the central figure, what, in 2017. And then you've got Grush and Jake
Grush,
Barber and all
yeah,
these
Grush
famous.
is Grush is a con artist. I wouldn't even worry about him. He's an implant. He's a plant. Actually he was a spy. That's what he did for a living.
Mhm.
And he only has. And remember, this is what's important about both these guys. Grush only has third hand information. He
Right,
got it from a friend who got it from a friend who actually was involved.
right.
Okay, that
Yeah.
means bullshit is what that means.
He said
Okay.
he saw pictures and he said he saw some evidence, but
Yeah, but does he know that that evidence wasn't planted? Does he know he
yeah.
wasn't being used? I mean, we're talking about the spy industry here. This is nothing for them to do. I mean, come on, they have faces now. You can't even tell if they're real or not. They
Well,
can
he
change
said he
anybody's
saw
voice.
biologics. Is that crap too? He didn't see biologics. He said he saw them.
I heard him testify on two occasions. Both times I heard him say that everything he had been taught or seen was given to him or was either second or third hand information. He had no first hand information. His words, not mine.
Mm,
So, and now if he's changed his story since then, that even makes him look worse, not better. But when I watched him in Congress both times, he didn't say anything about that. He said that, and
yeah.
then he was also pushing Dr. Greer's dimensional theory. He's also said that we had what there had was 79 crashes and we had 80 or something EVTs that we had caught. Really? And how likely is an extraterrestrial to let us keep one of their people when we know they can come in your house and take you, your car, your house, whatever? You can take your whole damn house if they want.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. What about Lou with the ATIP program? Is he discredited as well? I mean, there's so
I don't know.
many.
I haven't looked. I don't want to discredit somebody that I haven't looked enough into. So I can tell you this because of the clearance I have, which is a Class N clearance, which is higher than anybody we've talked about so far. That most of what you're going to hear is going to be disinformation because the government has a lot of. Look, you know what the X-47 is? It's one of our new fighter jets, Generation 6. It can actually go invisible. It can actually physically, not just stealth, but it can physically go invisible. Well, for 5 years, they've been reporting that as a UFO over Nevada and Colorado. Well, if it's not, it's ours. But it looks like a freaking alien aircraft from underneath it. It's scary looking alien spacecraft, and it's not even alien tech. It just looks like it. So the problem for us is we never know how much of what is going on is the government using the extraterrestrial to cover their own butts. Senator McDonald, about 25 years ago when he contacted me, you've probably heard the story, but He contacted me. It took him a long time to convince me who he was. When I finally met him, this guy was in charge of all money appropriations for the government. All everything going into the Pentagon was his. He contacted me because he had a TR-3B flew over his car, and he had no idea what the hell it was. And somebody in the military told him that I probably knew, and he got hold of me. And we talked about it eventually when we finally met up, and I finally believed who he was. And he sent me a lot of information on it, but he had no idea they even existed. And he was the one signing the check for the damn thing. So 6 months later, he contacted me after he found out what it was, and he was like, "Well, Joe, everybody but you told me it was an extraterrestrial craft." I said, "Was it?" He said, "Well, no, it." He was cussing when he was telling me. He said, "Well,
Mm.
no, it wasn't. It's ours." I said, "Of course it is." I said, "The SR-72 Blackbird was reported. The X-117 stealth fighter was reported as an alien craft for a decade." I
Are
said,
they reversed engineered, Joe?
"Not those aren't. No, those are just well, okay. Let me rephrase that. So if the story at Roswell is true, the saucer we took from the Germans and brought home and crashed ourselves,
Mhm.
uh, according to Roswell newspaper, we got what we would consider today a microchip, aircraft aluminum, and fiber optics. So if that story is true, then yes, it's not so much backwards engineers, it's that we use their technology to forward engineer our technology. So we just basically took their stuff to enhance ours.
Right.
And of course, think of it this way: if that story's true, the microchip generation shouldn't exist. We shouldn't have all this AI and all this computer stuff because we didn't develop it. We got it from somewhere else. Because I've heard many scientists will tell you if you ask them to go inside the microchip and explain how it works, they can't.
Yeah.
They just know it works. Well, if we invented a damn thing, we should know how it works. Let's just
Yeah.
be honest about it.
True.
So, I mean, so in one spect, I mean, it is partly alien, but most of it is American ingenuity. And, and well, I shouldn't say just American ingenuity because there's a lot of it comes from around the world. But ET has a vested interest in this sector because we're out here by ourselves. Uh, it's hard to make people understand that you can't find Earth by accident. So there's two spiral arms we're in between. So this the
Yeah.
lower one, and we're about 2/3 away from it, but we're also about a third away from the upper one. So we're not in the mix of the stars. So if we were in one of the spiral arms, I mean, there would be stars surrounding us and planets all over the place, but we're not. That's why there's so few planets around us. And we're pretty sure that some of them may have come from a different galaxy. So it's kind of weird that an alien race even found us, much less three or four. And then when you
Yeah.
listen to Dr. Greer, 56, bullshit. Show me proof of 56. Show me proof of 56 Democrats. Show me proof of a Stargate. I mean, show me something. If you're going to make outlandish accusations like that, you got to give me something. I
Yeah.
mean, right
True.
now, we've documented every UFO craft ever seen, and I doubt it comes from more than three or four races. Because you're not going to have just one model of extraterrestrial craft. And what you guys also think about is how come the saucer craft that the Egyptians showed you in the hieroglyph is still the one being seen 5,000 years later?
Yeah. That's a good point.
So it's strange how all this works. And ET definitely has once they really want to see us make it. I just don't think they feel that everyone's going to make it. I think they actually know something's headed this way or something's going to happen here. And more than likely, the contactees, if it's a disease or something, they're probably naturally immune to it. I mean, 1/3 of all contactees talk about the Holocaust, that there's a
So
Holocaust on Earth
the
where
rest of us are so the people that have not been contacted are basically screwed.
they're basically cannon fodder. Yeah,
Wow.
it's unless something changes, and maybe the contactees will save their asses. There's always
Mm.
hope, but as it stands right now, if everything that's been shown and said is true, we're headed for a brick wall of a biblical portion. Probably they say this will happen when we get around 10 or 11 billion people, and roughly in 9 days, 90%
Mm.
of planet is dead, just is dead. They don't say what it's from. They say because a lot of contactees are here helping retrieve people to bring off world because of whatever's going on. But it doesn't sound like it's a catastrophe like the Earth's being destroyed. It doesn't sound like a war either. It sounds like a badass COVID is what it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
heard they're already preparing. They're doing those mock. drills for the next pandemic. So I'm sure they've got something in store.
Well, here's a little side piece of information. So the amount of military abductions have increased in the last decade, considerably increased, and there's been a lot more blood work now when it used to be more about information and what goes on the craft. What do you see? What do you know? What do you smell? What do you taste? This seems to be a little bit more expedient, and it seems to be more about what our bloods have been exposed to. Now, maybe
Hmm.
they're just looking for whatever's you're breathing or eating or whatever the chemical processes are, but I doubt it. It seems like they're plus for 3 decades. I'm sorry, what is it? No, I'm sorry, for 5 decades. The United States has been practicing vaccinations. So back in the 60s, they developed a way to put chemicals into a plane and just fly over an area and aerial vaccinate
Oh
everything.
yeah,
So they've been practicing that for a long time. So what's that about? I don't know. And I can tell you this from just experience. When when I was in the Navy, somebody asked me one day, how do you know the difference between a contrail and a chemtrail? Well,
yeah,
contrails generally don't last more than 30 minutes, if that long. A lot of
exactly,
times they don't last that long. And they're
exactly.
usually not crisscrossing the sky. And I'm going to help all of y'all. So a couple of things you can do. You can go get you one of those airplane trackers that track in live time. And you can track, you can look at the sky and see whatever direction it's heading and go to your local tracker and see what was flying over. Or if you
Yeah,
see something forming, you can look at it in real time and say, okay, no, this is flight such and such going such a way, it's going to be a contrail. And you can watch it as it dissipates. Or you can see something that's going to have no registry. It's going to have a start and a destination, but it's not going to tell you anything about the flight or anything else that's going on. It's military. They don't have to tell you. So what are they doing? Well, if you see big trails behind it, well, guess what? They're spraying, and they can't even deny that they're spraying anymore because too many military people have videotaped themselves in their phone and made it public.
yeah,
They
yeah.
can't
No,
even stop it.
it's we all know that there's chemtrails. That
I
it's
think
just
a
clear.
lot of it's mood enhancement though, because I noticed, like in New Orleans, just before the holidays, she's like for the Super Bowl, usually about 5 days before the holiday, you'll start seeing trails all over the place. Christmas, usually about 2 weeks up until
Yeah,
they're spraying every day, crisscrossing sky. Somebody said, "Oh, it's because the air is cold." Well, not so much in Louisiana, people. We have Christmases where you're sweating outside at 80 degrees. I said, so
yeah,
yeah, it's not. I mean, don't get me wrong, we get cold weather, but yeah, it's not always cold. And when it's
right.
hot outside, and you're seeing these big trails in the sky. You're kind of like, something's not adding up here. It is a bit spooky. Who sent me that? Denise, what do you want? No, we started. We can go over a couple minutes. We started late. Yeah, whoever wrote me that. I'm like call Michelle and whoever you are. Sorry, somebody texted me.
No, it's definitely a nefarious agenda. Whatever they're spraying, strontium, all sorts of
That's all
terrible
kind of
chemicals.
thing. Well, you know what a good mixture would be? Would be a sodium amyl, sodium pentothal, a light mixture because it makes you very. How can I say this nicely? Makes you very open to suggestion.
Right, right.
So if you're watching, so let's say you're walking your dog and they're spraying this crap, and you go inside, you put on your favorite media, which may be MSNBC, might be Fox. I'm not judging whoever
Yeah.
you watch, but regardless who it is, when you're done breathe this stuff in for an hour, now you're watching, you're absorbing this, like it's like almost
Oh,
absorbing it
yeah.
into your brain cells. So be careful, people. That's all I'm telling you.
Yeah, I have friends that live in Florida, and after they sprayed something, and it was kind of like a
Okay.
fog, and they got so sick afterwards. Who knows? God only knows. Why kill us slowly? That's a good question.
I don't think they're trying to kill us. I think they're trying to antagonize us. So Americans in general aren't really the kind of people who want to get up and fight all the time. And right now, for some reason, the lefty party is, but I think they're being exposed more because they live in big blue cities where they spray a lot. Southern cities are funny about things in their skies. We actually have laws about stuff like that down here. Yeah, and they will investigate. They're not big into
Yeah,
letting you,
yeah,
but we do
yeah,
see. I don't want to say we don't see them, but we don't see them. So I'll put just a perfect example. I'm in LA in April. I go every year to LA 2 or 3 times a year. I'm out there in April. The trails are so thick and so wide that
yeah.
within 30 minutes, the whole entire sky is covered. Now, you will see them cover skies down here, but it usually takes a whole day, and it's usually only 4 or 5 lines. So it's a much thinner veil. Um, but because there's so
I don't
many
know.
people, But
Are they blocking out the sun, Joe? What are they
oh,
doing?
they're using this stuff to aggravate you. It's
Oh,
some type of irritant. So
yeah,
sometimes this is weird. Sometimes it feels like it's a mood enhancement, like to just let you. But sometimes it feels more. So this is how you look at it. Spraying in places like Portland and Seattle, Los Angeles, and Chicago, and there's violent riots right after the sprayings. We've been
yeah,
tracking for about 7 years now. So, but yet you come down to New Orleans before Mardi Gras and you're spraying, and everybody seems all laid back, like they've been all smoking ganja all day or something. I mean, they're all just chilled. So, I mean, they definitely use more than one type of thing, and they
yeah.
have reasons why they use it. Now, are they going to tell you and I? Probably not. Um, and then, is it the same people using it? Why does everybody, so if you can't whip up the whole country, then you just whip up one segment so it starts trouble. But the problem I think they're going to have is more and more of these people in these cities are moving out to different places now.
Yes, that's true.
They're
That's
getting
true.
away from big cities. So it's hard to spray over big areas. It doesn't work as well. It's not as effective. Uh, and ET doesn't seem to care. They're like, yeah, well, you dumb humans, let them do it. I really think ET wants to see us. I think if we would unite the planet before whatever's going to happen happens, they would try to save us. But I don't think if we're not united when it happens, I don't think they can. I don't even think it would be allowed to be honest with you. I think. And the only reason the Greys are here is because the humans and reptilians, somebody in the past, got nasty with each other. And the council says, oh, no, we're not starting a whole new galactic war. We just ended one. We're not starting another
Yeah.
one. And they sent the Greys. And, I was always told when I first got in this field that the Greys worked for everybody. Well, come to find out, the reptilians and humans are scared of the Greys. The Greys' mental abilities are 100-fold what the reptilians or the human at least. And every contact they've ever said, they said if there's a Grey there, when a reptilian or human walks in, they'll always put their head down and look the other way and walk past as a sign of respect. So that 8 foot tall, 785-pound reptilian just bowed his little head to that little 3 foot Grey. That should tell you something right there.
Yeah.
Worse than
Yeah.
that, because there are reports of Greys grabbing humans by the ankles and just hauling ass with them, pulling them behind them like they're a potato sack or something, like they don't weigh anything. I noticed in that series Taken, whoever was getting the information, at least part of what was going on in there was true. They had been speaking to a contactee for sure. I mean,
Mm,
they took creative liberty on some stuff, which I'm not hating on, but there's a good stuff in there. Like when she's being walked home, that's a true story. And it's happened more than once, where
yeah.
a girl stepped in to protect him from a military abduction. Having someone
Mhm.
kill a military abductee, that's happened more than once. And the Greys, especially reptilians are too. Yeah, I guess the humans are. They're protective of their contactees. They don't mind the government talking to them because we're their
Mm,
citizens. But when you start screwing around with them, then it changes. They get all like, "Oh, wait a minute now! Don't touch my contactee." And I think, and I think this is another thing that's hard. So we were talking about when this all first started. Well, Bob the Gray here. Well, you can't see Bob right now, but Bob the Gray. He was probably the person who abducted one of the very first humans. So think about that. He's abducted in that family line every human since then. Do you know how intimate he is with your family? Do you know how much better he knows your family line than you do? So a Gray, because it usually comes in groups of threes, they're the same Grays that were abducted you, that abducted your mom, your great grandmom, your great great grandmom, and all the way back till it started. And for them, it's just like a spit in the bucket as far as time goes. So for them, it's 6,000 or 60,000 years. For us, it would be like 60 years. Probably not even that. Probably closer to 6 years in the way they view time because they're much older than we are.
But why have abductions been going on for so long? You would think they have what they need, no?
It's not what they need; it's what they want. So they want us to move in a certain direction, and they can't technically directly interfere. So through abductions, they find places they can nudge us. That's really what they're doing. They're just looking for ways to nudge us. They're also looking to help humans understand that one, for world peace, there has to be one world government. There has to be things like if we're going to have religion, we have to have religious tolerance. Yeah, a lot of contactees talking about these things. You hear about talking about peace, not destroying the planet, not destroying a lot of different things. But and these are contactees. It's part of what they are, and it's part of what the aliens know we need to quit doing. But as a species, we're not ready to quit yet. We're just not.
Mm.
We're not even ready to give up gasoline yet. You know, we all know it's not good for the planet, but we'd rather have it than electric any day. Don't ask me why.
I mean, we're supposedly having this grand awakening, the human race.
Where's the grand something, all right? I'm not sure for the awakening part.
True.
Sometimes I wonder about the awakening part.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're in the age of Aquarius, so and we've got what 1,000 years of it. So we somewhere along the line, the species should get more enlightened. To answer your question, contactees. So if you're being taken and you don't know, you're considered an abductee. A contactee is someone who has experienced it face to face and now realizes beyond any reasonable doubt that they have saw an extraterrestrial and they know they're a contactee. Contactees tend to be more willing to work with the programs and be part of what's going on. But it usually takes several abductions before the average person realizes they're a contactee. Children, though, sometimes pick it up earlier because children, how can I say this nicely, don't possess the baggage that adults do.
Yeah, well, that's true.
When we're
So, Miss
talking,
Heidi's asking a good question here. How do you know if you're a contactee or an experiencer? I don't know how to answer that. I guess her daughter is asking her. Within the last year, she's begun to believe that she is one, or in experiences that she had. I guess we're paranormal, right, Heidi?
well, because in her case, she's probably an abductee. She's probably been being taken since before she was born. She knows there's something going on in her life and she's experiencing it and she doesn't fear it. And as she starts to accept it more and more and more, she'll become a contactee. And contactees become very curious about it. They want to know what's going on. They ask a lot of questions. They ask aliens a lot of questions. By the
Yeah.
way, if you're listening tonight, people, if you are an abductee or a beginner contactee, the aliens like you. They like when you ask questions. Just remember telepathically. And a lot of times, especially the Greys, a lot of times will answer you without even thinking about it. Matter of fact, we use that for experiments. The organization I work for uses that because we'll get 50 contactees, give them all one question, all the exact same question. None of them know each other, and then
Hmm.
as they get taken, they call us back with the answers. When you get 50 answers that are the same, you know you got something.
Yeah, you're onto something. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I do that myself every night. I go out there and I talk to them and try to contact them. And you're right. Sometimes you do get the answer indirectly, I guess.
Well, there's a lot of stuff. You know, somebody asked me this. I was in DC, and I said, so there's a lot of stuff I could talk about if I talked about personal stuff. I said, but I don't do that because personal stuff is personal stuff and research stuff is research stuff,
Yeah,
and they don't always go together. Sometimes
true.
something I think because of what happened to me is this, and I find out, well, maybe not the same for other people. So you have to take your time and work through cases. I mean, currently the organization has almost 140,000 cases that we consider legit.
Mhm.
So it gives us a database to go through. You know, we can. It's like going. You can write in stuff like blue and plasma and a couple of different words, and it'll come back with a whole bunch of instances where this was mentioned or said. And sometimes it'll even be in their conclusions by different directors or different researchers on what they think it was or why it
Yeah.
happened or what happened, which
Are
is
you
a guy
still collecting data at I.C.A.R?
till they kill me, and hopefully when they do, somebody takes over. It's it's we actually what's funny about that is I just had a meeting just recently. We were in the middle of redoing an organization because somebody wanted me to change the name because the acronym is such a pain in the ass for how many people have it. But we just now restarted recruiting directors because I laid off a bunch of directors recently. And what I mean by that is some of our directors have been directors for 25 and 30 years, huge
Wow.
cases, a lot going on. So what I do is I retire them as a, they're still function, they can still be function members and be involved, and they still have clearances to do anything they want. It's just we retire them because they get burnt out. You know, you just
Yeah.
get and so a friend of mine asked me, he said, "You've been international director forever." I said, "Yeah, but international director is differently because I have a lot more contact with a lot more people." But
Hmm.
you know, when you're a state director or a section director or a researcher or a investigator, which they all have different jobs they do, it's important. Well, actually, Jeremy, wait, oh, that's my message. I was wondering what the hell that was. No, we're very strict on how we do research. Yes, we're very strict on a lot of things. Hypnosis. They're almost, I would say today, if you go back and listen to Wake Up USA from about 30 years ago, and you go listen to Ufology Today, you'll notice that 84% of the terminology used in abduction came from I.C.A.R. Yeah, including a lot of the stuff, a lot of the research everybody bases their research on came from us initially
Mm,
because nobody else was doing it. I mean, look,
yeah.
these people just wouldn't even talk to me when I brought them on Wake Up USA. If I said abductions, they didn't want to talk. Paula Harris literally got Piala Harris, and so I got mad at me for 2 years. Wouldn't talk to me because I was talking about alien abductions. She said, "Well, we can't talk about that. That just hurts the field. Nobody thinks that's even real. Bullshit. Nobody thought it was real." So
Yeah.
for I don't know for a full decade and a half, I was black sheep. Nobody wanted to talk about that stuff, and we were putting out copious amounts of information. And that's why I left MUFON because MUFON was just burying it. They weren't giving it to anybody. They weren't even sending it out to any other researchers. They were just in a dark file. It's I got lucky. Walt Anders, who's the founder of MUFON, decided to join I.C.A.R. while I was hosting Wake Up USA. He did it on air, by the way, which was strange. And then I get a letter from him. He said, you should see something. If I pass any time, you should get a box from me. Yeah, a box, more like 60 boxes, um, full of all of MUFON's data that had never been put on a computer anywhere. It's sitting in a
Mm,
closet right now.
yeah.
So
Wow.
you got to wonder what the hell is going on with these organizations. And then nobody was doing abduction research, and then finally, after 20 years of forcing the issue, finally in the 90s, mid 90s, other people started finally. Actually, wasn't even
Mm,
this like the
mm,
2000. People finally started looking into it. Yvonne Smith started doing some work. Mary
mm,
Rowell started doing some work. A lot of contactees came out and came forward. Like I'm going to have Marion Delicato on in a couple of weeks, and Eric Isley, and I got Thomas Reed coming on in a couple of weeks. So I mean, there's a lot of good contactees out there with a lot of good information, but there's a lot of good researchers, and I've worked with all of them. Barbara Lamb was out there. Barbara Lamb freaked out. She heard me speaking in Laughlin, Nevada, before they stopped having the conference, and she was like, "I've never met anybody like you before." She said, "Jesus."
mm.
So the amount of information you've got is outrageous, of course, but I cheated. That's why I formed iCard. It's too much information for any one person. You look, don't get me wrong, people. One person can be a great researcher, and I have a lot of them that work with me. But the problem is, you can't do everything. It's too much,
Mhm.
and it's not like it's just one subject. Ufology has to be broken down across many different subjects, including the paranormal. We haven't even talked about things like poltergeist and contact. How come a contact when something's happened when a ship's near a house? How come does it look so much like a poltergeist? Stuff floating around, things coming on and off, things making weird sounds and talking. I mean, it sounds like a freaking poltergeist, but it's an alien contact. So, and then
Yeah.
there seems to be in some cases increased um, paranormal activity at a contactee site.
Mhm.
So I mean, what does all that mean? Hell if I know, but it means something. I try to let the paranormal researchers deal with that, and we have a lot of good ones on the network. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
so
Well,
I don't. Yeah, sure, I'm
let
just
me
yeah.
ask you this. I'm trying to like connect the dots. So, do the technical descriptions that are given by pilots like David Fravor, he's the guy that came out with the Tic Tac, and Ryan Graves, he's the one that came out with the cube shaped sphere. Do they align with the technical descriptions of recovered crafts or materials that I.C.A.R collected? Does that stuff align, or is that
Well,
BS?
it's hard. It's hard to tell, but I trust pilots when they see stuff. I've worked with many pilots. I was in the Navy. I was on the USS Nimitz. It's one of the things I did was work on jets and talk to pilots every day. And I have, by the way, I've never met a pilot that had not seen a UFO, not one.
Yeah,
And I've met
yeah,
hundreds
I heard
of them.
that.
I've never talked to an astronaut, and I've talked to more than 50 now that have not seen a UFO. So those things you have to take in now. But pilots are like cops; they're very observant.
Yeah. Oh
They're
yeah.
always looking at everything around them, and when they give you something and tell you something, you can generally take it to the bank. They're not exaggerating. That's what the hell went on. And when you hear a pilot say, "Oh, it just left me sitting there," and I was like, "Well, yeah, he meant it. He meant, oh, I'm doing Mach 2, and this thing just left me sitting at Mach 2 and then came back, flew around, he went back, came back, disappeared." went off radar, came on radar. He said, no, nobody has that technology. You know what's interesting is these are descriptions like the Foo Fighters in World War II.
Yep.
We still, to this day, 80 years later, don't have technology that can do that. But we do have one thing. We do have drones now. So a drone could do this around a craft. It just couldn't leave it, take off, and come back because we don't have any drones that are that fast yet. But
Yeah.
we're working on that. The drones that go with the new X-47 fighter, it comes with 4 of its own drones that just look like mini versions of it. So they can do Mach 2 and fly 1,000 miles and blow the living Jesus out of things too. And they're autonomously controlled and self-controlled, and then of course the pilot control. So it's an insane piece of technology.
Yeah.
It's scary piece of technology that it can do things like Mach 3 or Mach 4 and fly across the planet, drop a nuclear bomb, and fly back, and not be seen, heard, even known it's in the sky. When I seen it go invisible the other day, I was seriously impressed because they were showing its radar cross section on a radar, which was nothing. It was like the size of whatever this thing is right here. It's a tie clip. It's about the size of the radar, so you just ignored it. And then they showed it. Some guy was down there with a binocular, and he's looking at it. He said, "I can see it, I can see it," and then it just disappeared. It just mirrored everything around, and it was gone. You could tell where it was. Didn't leave any plume, no heat signature. It's bad to the bone. It's serious technology that I'm sure Russia and China are about to have a heart attack over. They're like,
Is
where the
this
hell?
just our tech? Or
Exactly.
yeah?
You can't always say, we can say it seems like it is, because humans aren't completely stupid. And we do understand natural progression. And we do have
Mhm.
AI now. We do have other new materials
Oh
that we
yeah.
do stuff with. It's just, but we might have had a boost up somewhere along the line. Do we still get them? I don't know, but we may have. And then there's always Charles Holmes tall whites that we don't know what the hell they're doing. They're just out there at Area 53 hanging out. They don't have nothing to do with the other aliens. They're not involved with them. Don't talk to them. Not a member of the galactic the community. They just seem to be a race that's using our planet as a stopping point. They have been using it for a long time. They get, according to the Army, they give us a little bit of trickle technology here and there, so they can use our planet as a jumping off point to the next spiral.
Yeah.
So it was like, wow, okay. And when he told me they used to go gambling in Vegas, I was get the hell out of here. But I've talked to a lot of people in Vegas, and I've talked to several state troopers and taxi cab drivers and Uber drivers, and they talk about these things. And with the upscale Uber drivers, sorry, but
Mm.
they talk about these things. They have pictures of them in casinos now. I mean, it's even Vegas itself. The police department takes it as a thing now. They think it's real.
Yeah. So do you think all these testimonies, these congressional hearings, do you think they're all like just false flags? Are they just BSing us? Like,
You get a sense of 2 things. Okay, so like with Koresh, so you had Koresh, and then you had the 3 pilots there. Okay,
mm,
so Koresh is going on and on about all kind of crazy stuff, saying all kind of outlandish stuff. The
yeah.
pilots do none of that. The pilots gave you an account of what they saw, how it happened, what it was, and they just wanted you to understand that they did not think it was a technology that we possessed.
Right.
So that's good. That's good, solid testimony that makes Americans say, okay, yeah. But when you say shit like, oh, well, they come through this thing and they're falling out and they're coming from a dimension and every other craft falls out and crashes and then we recover the craft and the humans, well, really? Then why are we so fucking far behind? You're telling me we have over 100 spacecraft and we're this far behind? Give me a break. I mean, that's insane. I guess somebody set my alarm off out here. It's yeah, it's an impossibility, is what it is. And we've
Mm,
got that many EVs, and no one's come for them. No one's claimed them. No one said anything about them. No one, no one cares that they're here. And another thing, if you were an alien race and every other ship you sent came here and crashed, would you send any more? And then the other thing
yeah.
is where have they been for the last 10,000 years? Where's those craft at? All the ones that have been crashing. You know, I mean, what the hell? I mean, none of that makes any sense at all because we know that he's been here a long time, a really long time. So you'd have to ask yourself, where are all the rest of the spacecraft? If
So
they've been
does our government know what are they hiding from us? Like, do they know and
they
are
don't
just
like anything, they're like us. They're ignorant. I
yeah,
think that's the hardest thing for Americans, for the world to understand.
yeah,
Yes, we know some. Do we know the aliens' true agendas? No. Nobody in the government knows what their real agendas is. They don't know what they're really here for. Do they know they're here? Yeah, they know they're here. The government's admitted that they know they're here. Do they know what they're doing? No. Can they stop abductions? No. Have they tried to stop abductions? Yes. Did they lose?
Mm,
Yes. Did they get killed? Yes. But they can't stop them. There's nothing they can do about it. And what are they going to do? Fire on an alien spacecraft? Well, that's just get ignorant. Because what happens if they start firing back? What happens if we start an interstellar war and the whole freaking galactic community comes over here and wipes us from the face of the planet and just takes our planet and uses it for something else? I mean, these are
yeah,
things that, we have to think about as a society, and we're just not doing it. And we hear people like Koresh or even like Dulcie, where they have an underground firefights running across. The Greys are very advanced. They don't need a gun to kill you. They simply
yeah,
think they can kill you. They don't need they can kill more than one of you at a time. So when you hear stories like that, you know those are bullshit. That's somebody trying to make brownie points. The problem with ufology is it's like the paranormal world. You're only as important or as good as your last thing you said. You can't make money if no one's following. Or
yeah.
if
That's true. I mean, I was just going to ask you this too. That Heidi purported up here. Are they coming from Antarctica or the depths of the ocean? I mean,
they're probably
there's
coming
so
from
much.
both.
No.
No, they're probably coming from both. We've got
Oh,
many underwater sightings, and
yeah,
uh, and then there's always a Shag Harbor sighting where those two submarines watch the thing underwater being repaired by another one. We know they use oceans. One of the things we tell researchers when you want to go researching, you want to really see a UFO, and you're not a contactee, find yourself a deep water area near a national park and a Navy base or an Air Force base, and I guarantee you will see something strange because
yeah,
the
probably.
majority of sightings come from those kind of areas, and the reason why is because that's where they're prevalent. Um, just the NASA facility that's not even 5 miles from my house where I live right now. I cannot even
Hmm.
tell you how many people there have seen UFOs flying over the place.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, there's a corridor for the TR3B. Starts somewhere in that starts at Eglin Air Force Base. They fly up to interstate. They fly up into the woods above interstate, and then they fly across Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana, and they head down to the Gulf, and then they come back across the swamp and across the Gulf all the way back to where they started from. They do this like 3 nights a week. People have seen them hundreds of times. You can
yeah,
go star watching on the NASA base where you're allowed to go on, and you'll just sit there, and all of a sudden you'll be looking up, and all the stars are gone, and you'll notice it's in the shape of a triangle. And then you can watch it, and
yeah.
it just goes up. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything, you don't smell anything. But I will tell you this: it does tend to change people's moods and personalities.
Hmm.
I don't know if whatever field it's given off makes people anxious or gives them anxiety. I don't know what it is, but it definitely will change people's moods. It's a very strange thing to watch. It's kind of a
Yeah,
scary thing at the same time. But ET really wants to see the humans make it. They want to see us cross multiple boundaries. They want to see us become part of the galactic consciousness and the galactic community, but they have their doubts.
jeez. I
They
mean,
don't
I would
know.
like to believe that's true. What role do you think that like private aerospace or defense contractors play in maintaining the secrecy? Because it seems like
A
these
lot.
black ops programs are really responsible for a lot of the secrecy.
So what happens is our government from time to time gets their fingers on stuff. Well, they don't have the resources that Lockheed or Boeing or Skunk
Right.
Works or Sierra Nevada or even Elon Musk has. So they have to turn those over to people that can use them. And that's what happens. And that's how some of that technology ends up in places like China and Russia because we have people in some of these companies. Just the other day, we caught a Chinese spy. Hell, they're pretty sure they caught Governor Hochul of New York's aide is a Chinese spy.
Yeah.
So, all this has to be taken into consideration. But the real thing is no one's been able to just claim ET as ET is on our side. ET wants to help just us. ET wants to help humans. They don't really give
Mm,
a shit about governments. And if it was up to them, there probably wouldn't be any politicians. They don't. I don't think they have politicians in the way we have politicians where they come from. I think it's a much more respectful format. But still, as we are right now, we're a violent, egotistical, arrogant race who thinks we know everything about everybody, and we don't know squat about squat. We have to grow. And today, if you mention uniting the planet, people get crazy. Muslims want to start killing the Christians. Christians want to start killing these ones. Everybody wants to start blowing each other up. Let's use some nukes. It's a simple concept.
I don't
You
know if
know,
ET really want to help the human race, why don't they just come and do it? Like, do they
because
have
for the
uninterfered?
same reason we never went down to South America or Africa and just took over everything. Because if you're not ready, it's not going to work. So right now on this planet, unfortunately, about 70% of the world does not think extraterrestrials are real. I mean, let me rephrase that. They don't think aliens are coming to this planet. It's not that they don't think there may be life out there. A lot of people, about 70%, think there are,
Yeah,
but many people think they're coming here, or even have any interest in coming here. So it makes it hard. And then you're still going to have 50% of the people who are going to receive it almost as a new religion. And then you have 50% that are going to think they're here for nefarious things.
yeah,
So you have to be in you have to be evolved enough that when we meet them, we're like, oh, okay, well, we know that they're not blowing us up. It looks like they're here to help. Everything seems to be good. And we can say, but I mean, we can't even get past racist stuff on our own. Shit, for that matter, sexist
well,
stuff.
that's true. I mean, even the Pope said he would welcome them as, brothers and sisters, so
Well, the original when was this? So when I talked to Father Maltucci, it was 2009 when I talked to him. So the Pope in 2009, along with all the bishops and cardinals, said the same thing, that
yeah,
there was no doubt that extraterrestrials were here. There was no doubt that they're alive, and there was no doubt that
mm,
spiritually they were more enlightened than Christians. Their words, not mine. Father Malducci, matter of fact, we recorded Father Malducci because Monsignor Malducci because the Monsignor didn't really speak English. I had to have P.O. Harris translate. So I
mhm,
recorded the whole conversation so I could have it translated later on for my own personal copy. And he was adamant about it. He talked about him being 7 or 8 foot tall, that they had visited the Vatican many, many times over
mm,
the centuries.
yeah,
That they had a unique interest in the way we worship God, but that they were spiritually, mentally, physically all much, much more advanced than us. The Monsignor said, the Pope said that they had a much closer connection to God because they actually understood what God was, and we don't. We're not really understanding what the Creator truly is, I guess, or at least
I can
never.
believe that.
Well, I mean, there's so much we don't understand. We just throw it on the bucket with everything else we don't understand. It's a tough.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
But we have to make certain steps. If we truly don't want to end up as an extinct planet like so many others in the universe, there's things we're going to have to do. And we're going to have to start doing them soon because we're getting to the point now where it's starting to bubble to a head. So something's got to be done. And I would prefer it not to have to be World War III to reset everything. It may have to be. If America would have done what it was asked to do at the end of World War II, 80% of the world today would be united. But we didn't want to go nuke Russia and take over China. But if
yeah.
they had,
Don't you think if we had first contact, that would force humanity and the ones that are more difficult to deal with, it would kind of force their hand to maybe
you ever heard of
change
A?
have what?
You ever heard of AI, artificial intelligence? No one's going to
Of
believe it. That's an extraterrestrial. They're going to tell you it's AI. Matter of fact, even stuff we know now that is real, people are now saying are AI, even
yeah.
though they're real. And people are believing, oh, it was just AI. Well, AI has only been around a couple of years, but there's a lot of stuff getting pushed off on AI now that's 5, 10,
Yeah.
15, 20 years old. So it's not going to be a difference for ET. The people who don't want to believe are just going to say it's AI until there's a multiple landing and ET is walking amongst us. Um,
Yeah.
you're going to just have the population just going to refuse to believe. And for some reason, certain religions, like the Muslim religion, really doesn't give all that much freedom for there to be extraterrestrials. Other religions do. Some
Yeah,
religions
they're
are based on it.
yeah. Yeah.
So, and since there's 1.34 billion Muslims, well, they're not
Yeah.
going to do ET shows
I
up.
know, but I just wonder what it would be like if they just made a massive, and I'm not talking about like a government project scam. I'm talking about like a legit first contact. If that would really force the hand of these folks into believing. and kind of, foster world peace, maybe.
I think most people would say whatever country did it, it was a hoax on that country's part to
Yeah,
gain more.
that's true
This is
too.
unfortunately where we are right now. We live in a world that's wrapped up in a tight little ball, and everybody's kind of angry because nobody's
Yeah,
knowing when that shoe is going to be that drops. And it would be nice if ET would come and just show themselves and say, okay, don't make any direct contact. Just let humans know, hey, look, there's something else. So it is
exactly.
part of the It is part of the desensitization program I was told about 40 years ago. I had a guy from NASA who told me that there was a desensitization program that the government had been working on since the early 30s, and it was to desensitize not just Americans but the world to extraterrestrials. And then he
Yeah.
went through a list of stuff, and all of it's come to be. I mean, he talked about how it would increase in television and TV, and he'd be done on radio. How eventually it would be in every walk of our life in our food and car. And he's right. I mean, you get a Dorito bag with a gray
Yeah,
orange.
exactly. Yeah.
Half the blockbusters have extraterrestrials in them. I mean, in all shapes, sizes, and colors of ET. So yeah, we're being desensitized, and now we're talking about that we're finding life in atmospheres and other worlds, which suggests there could be life. NASA's telling you they're pretty sure they're going to find life on Europa and Mars. Maybe
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
be more.
How
So
much desensitizing do we need? Like, it's going on
we need a
forever.
lot. We need a lot. So the next part of this will be we'll find probably an amoeba or maybe a plant, maybe even a little animal. We'll find something along those lines on Mars. We're pretty sure that
Yeah.
we know there's something growing at the North Pole and South Pole of Mars. So we'll find it. So that shows us, okay, there's
Yeah.
life. We've recently found stuff on Mars that shows that there was life in the past. So once we understand that there was life on another planet, okay, the next thing after that will be we will find an artifact,
Mm,
something we cannot deny that's not ours on another world that we have to admit, okay, it's extraterrestrial. So then, but we're still safe. So when we find the immediate knowledge, we're safe because we know they're not going to hurt us. And
yeah.
when we find the artifact, it's abandoned, it's old, it's ancient. Okay, well, the aliens aren't there anymore, so we don't have to worry about that. So those are ways to desensitize the population without causing a panic. And then by then we'll be more acceptable to seeing an alien up close. Will be more likely. It'll be more like a 70% will be acceptable instead of a 50%. But it's going to be a while before even after we accept that there's life other than us, it's still going to be a good chunk of 100 years or so before the majority of the world is okay with it. We're
Mm,
like I said, we're egotistical, and God's not going to fit into a lot of religions' plans.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
extraterrestrial different than a lot of religions' plans.
You said earlier in past conversations that I've had with you that you know definitively that there are ETs or NHIs, non-human intelligence. So
Well,
could you give us an example of how you know that to be absolutely fact?
it's actually three ways. One, I've seen them up close and personal, unfortunately for myself. Two, I've seen the documentation from the government that proves beyond any reasonable doubt that not only have we had them in our possession, that we have had contact to the fact that don't go here, we will kill you. Return our people, we'll kill you. You could have this type of craft and work on it, but you can't have these type because we're just not ready for that kind of technology. And think about this: we've had the Roswell crash for 80 years and still haven't figured out how it works yet.
Yeah.
That's exactly instilling.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
understand sort of, but we don't. So, but
Yeah. What
anyway,
about Rendlesham too? You got Rendlesham. I mean, that is even more mind blowing.
we're going to have Larry Warren on probably sometime next year
Oh,
to talk about
nice.
with him. But so it's weird for us because I never when I got into this field, I never really thought about anything about contact or anything like that. I thought these people were crazy. I ain't gonna lie to you. I still think a lot of them are crazy, but we've been places now, not just by myself, but in groups. Where we've been with Grays, sometimes reptilians in a group. So there was 15 of us went to Florida and experienced the Grays. This was right after Katrina because I had a bunch of people from out of the country that were working for me that came in from Canada and Mexico and England to come work for my company to help turn the city around. But anyway, we were there in this dense fog that you couldn't see. This fog lasted for like 20 hours, and
Wow.
First time we were walking down the beach, the girls were in front of us, we were back here, and you started seeing these footprints about this long in between us, appearing in the fog. You didn't see anybody, just prints. And then you heard one of the girls yell because something touched her on her shoulder, and then she got the hell in and screaming. So I don't even know, they were just running. I don't even know where the hell they were running because the fog was so thick. So we just kept running straight till we ran into them, and we didn't see anything. So we seen the gazebo. We went and sat down in the gazebo, and we're all sitting there. Everybody, back then I was still smoking cigarettes. So I was smoking a cigarette, and we were all talking, and everybody had a camera sitting next to them, and phones or whatever. And Canuck goes, "What the?" He's cursing. I'm like, "What are you cursing about?" And I look up, and there's a gray. There's a pole like this holding the roof up, and the gray's coming
Mm,
down the pole like
what?
this. Yes. Stops, gets up on the ground, starts walking this way towards Mike. As he's getting closer to Mike, in between there's a walkway going out to the sand towards the water. As he does, the whole walkway lights up, and he just walks into the light and he's gone. Everybody there saw it. There wasn't no argument. Were we crazy or just one person saw it? Everybody saw it. A couple of months later, we got a tip about some abduction going on in Gulf Breeze, Florida. We,
Wow.
my wife and I had been working for a while. We had known there's a section of beach down there in between Eglin Air Force Base and the NASA facility that's just nothing's out there. And we've been knowing for years that people getting asked to come out there, and they get called, or in the middle of the night they just drive out there where they get taken. And over the years, we had kind of found out about it. Well, this particular night, someone had called me at midnight and said, "Joe, you told me if I was ever on the beach and it got real quiet and everybody around me started disappearing, give you a call. I'm calling you." So we drove down there, which was about 2 hours from where we were at, with a crew of about 10 people. We had a screened in tent we brought with us, and we set it up on the beach. And when we got there, we found this one place where we went, and we got there, we set it up, and there were people on both sides. There were some couples over there doing whatever they shouldn't be doing, other people walking around. We just
Mm,
about 2 dozen people walking around. So we're sitting there all talking, and all of a sudden, so get a little weird. And everybody kind of was sitting down, just chilling. It was like everybody went from milling around to just sitting there. We're just kind of like, look, but everybody was still there. And then I hear a friend of mine. She goes, "What the hell is that?" She hands me binoculars, and there's a little white, looks like a white cap out on the water, right? Just a little white.
mhm.
Then you see 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like, what's just white caps? One just on the top of the wave. That's not what it was. As it got closer, you realized there were these little 6 foot grays, I guess, fried energy pads on top of the wave. We called it surfing aliens. I should have never said that. I heard about that for a decade after that. So now they just call them surfing aliens. But regardless, they were coming into the beach. We physically sat there and watched them take
Uh,
people.
oh my God.
We sit there, and everybody in the group was a contactee. So that was what everybody started getting nervous because they figured they were getting taken too, but they didn't. It was almost intentional, like they knew we were there. On several occasions, you seen one of them just look over at us and go on about their business, and they would drag them all the way down to the bottom of the water, and then this big white area would light up, and then they would disappear. We were pretty sure there's a big underground facility uh, in
Oh,
Gulf.
yeah. Do they always bring you back after you've been taken?
As far as I know, they do. They don't always put you back in the right place, but they usually bring you back.
Oh, you told me a funny story about a couple that got their partner switched, right?
Well, look at Whitley Strieber. They just
Hysterical.
dropped him off in they took him at his camp and dropped him off on the side of the road in the middle of the woods. Car,
Jeez.
truck, and everything. So think about this. They took him out of his house, out of his bed, and abducted him, but set him back down in his car on the side of the road, which means they had to have taken his car too, not just him. And we've got people talking about their dogs being taken and all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's they've got their agendas that they're running, and they take us when they need to take us for as often as they need to take us. And they what they're truly looking for is the people who can make a difference without them interfering. So
Yeah.
we're out there, like people like us who are out there banging away at this, talking about this all day, is opening people's minds every day. The more of us there are, the more people's minds to get open up, the easier it will be for us to make that next evolution leap. But the problem is, America's pretty advanced in its views. Europe is pretty advanced in its views. China's trying to catch up, but they're still a good 100 years behind us on those sorts of things. Russia is not much better off. Africa, South America, they're not much better off. I mean, it's you know, as far as the free world goes, it's pretty much Europe and the United States, part of
Mm.
Asia, and that's it. And that's where most of the technologies are. That's where most of the advanced thinking is. they're just leaps and bounds ahead of the rest of the world. So even if we were able to unite ourselves, we're not going to be able to unite them. Countries like North Korea doesn't want to have
Yeah.
anything to do
Forget it.
with us. Venezuela don't want to have anything to do with us. Iran doesn't want to have anything. And even now, there are things I think that could change minds. If we learn teleportation and a matter creator, a replicator, I think that could change people's minds. If
Yeah,
if if
probably.
if you knew everything you wanted could be made from a replicator, you didn't have to go get a job, you didn't have to do this, you didn't have to do anything. But if you only had to live for what you wanted to live for, I think you'd see a lot of people's lives change. I think you'd see a lot of stuff change in a major way because people would be like, well, wait a minute, I don't have to go work a stupid job. Everything I need can come from this machine. The
Yeah.
government putting out housing, nice, clean places, everybody gets a replicator. And then if you want to find something to do, or you want to advance yourself, or go to school, or educate yourself, or find yourself in different positions, you can. But you got to
Yeah.
get there first. I'm sorry, but the China's got a long ways to go, my friend. China ain't even got their fifth generation plane under control. America's on its sixth. Sorry, you're a little behind on those. And most of the advanced stuff that China does have comes from the United States. And why do you think they want Taiwan so bad? They want American chips. They're mad right now because Trump cut them off of them. Dude,
Yeah.
just be my
That's
friend.
true. That's very
I
true.
like China. I got a lot of friends in China, and we broadcast. We have a huge audience in China. But no, China's even in some things, China's not even as advanced as Russia is.
Yeah,
In some
I think
things,
Japan is
oh,
more advanced.
now, on stuff like that, you got a point. On some of that stuff, they're pretty good on. They're proud. Yeah, no, I've seen some stuff on the
Japan's
3D printing,
kicking some butt.
but I've also seen it in Japan too. So I think our allies will be more.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, this too, 3D human organ printing. That's some
that's
scary
interesting
stuff that
stuff.
they're doing it.
Well, look, at least somebody figured that out because China's answer for organs before this was to go steal somebody's organs out and sell them to
Exactly.
somebody else. So look, I'm all for innovation here. Yeah,
Do some
I heard about 3D printing for human stuff a while back about
oh
making
yeah. Yeah.
eyes, ears,
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff. So I
Yeah.
think,
Japan's kicking butt with the robots too. They're doing a great job.
yeah, but who's really kicking butt is Elon. Elon's
Yeah, he
building a
is.
army. Elon's going to have so many satellites in space; it's going to be ridiculous. On top
I
of
know.
that, he's going to have so many. So his goal is within 20 years is to have 100 ships going back and forth to Mars and the Moon. He's going to be putting robots on all of them so they can go build the colonies before the humans even get there, so there's no harm to the humans. And then
Yeah.
set up the workforce to be ready for the humans. He's already talking about sending Starlink to Mars, so when you get to Mars, you can communicate around the planet like you do here and have internet stuff like that. Every company he owns is so he can go to Mars. Everything
Oh
he's
yeah.
doing,
The
his neural,
boring
everything,
company, all of it.
everything. He had a boring company so he can put
Yep.
underground, put in the mountains. Neural chip is so you can
Yeah,
operate things
he's no idiot.
remotely. He's Frank. What is it? No, I don't trust Elon. I call Elon Drax, Frank. Yes. So I do that because one, Drax put a thing in space and went and put all of his people up there. Then he put satellites in space so he could kill everybody on Earth. So think of it this way: Elon moves him and his family to Mars. He's got how many other satellites full of radiation orbiting? He may have lasers on them, as far as we know. He
Yeah.
might decide that he wants to recolonize Earth and call it Mustville. What are y'all
Yeah.
gonna do? Well, y'all gonna die. That's what y'all gonna do. Oh man, it's a scary thing, but he does. If you haven't ever seen the TV show Moonraker, it's a James Bond movie. Go watch it. He'll kind of creep you out a little. And then there's little X. He might be Drax. Little X, the one that was bossing our president around, the little kid that was
Mhm.
his tall.
Yeah.
Um, he's he's going to be a demon child when he gets to be about 30. Uh,
Yeah.
but there's a big plus to Mars though. So if we go to Mars in the next 10 years and they establish decent colonies, if you're 60 years or older, you can add 40, 50, 60 years to your life by going to live on Mars.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll probably won't have to take high blood pressure medicine anymore. You can probably get rid of the high blood pressure medicine, send it
Yeah.
bye bye, and you won't have to be taking all the backache medicines because your back won't be killing you, your heart near as much because there won't be no gravity pulling you down. all your
I don't
organs longer because it won't pull on you. Yeah, they did a big research thing on this because they were talking about how fast Mars could kill a human. And a guy said,
Yeah.
"Well, what advantages are there?" He said, "Well, you got way less gravity, so your lungs will work easier. All your body parts won't have anything pulling on them. The thing that kills us on Earth is gravity. It works on
Yeah,
our
that's
planet.
true.
You
That's
know,
true.
the
I don't know.
older
I
ship.
don't have too much faith in like organizations like the World Economic Forum, the
I don't think
UN,
right.
all these sort of the alphabet agencies, because you've got folks like Yuval Noah Harari, who's coming out. He's one of the prominent speakers of the World Economic Forum.
Yeah,
And, he's coming out saying that we're hackable beings right now. And I think they hate humans and they only want like the population to be, I heard, which was also on the Georgia Guidestones, 500,000
yeah.
humans they want on the planet. I don't know. I don't have much
We
faith.
talked about that. So the problem with all of that is the elite. How much elite will be left on our planet?
Exactly.
So let's say that they want to leave 500,000 people, but 100,000 of them are going to be elite. Well, 500,000 is not going to be enough to take care of them. So the average rich person who is worth more than $50 million in an average year is going to be exposed to more than 10 to 15,000 people taking care of him. And we start times and at times multiple people in multiple
Yeah.
cities, multiple areas. So, because rich people aren't going to stop going places, but you're going to start, they're going to limit themselves to just New
Yeah.
York and London. What about the rest of the cities? We're just going to do away with them? No, we're not. Rich people are spoiled rotten. They want their boats, they want their cruises, they want their
Yeah, but they're
jets.
going to have technology to do all that, Joe, won't they?
I
What they
don't
won't
know.
need humans after that point. They just won't need them.
No, we're
Going to
10,000
do
years from that point. Our
huh?
technology, our technology is just not at that level yet. We're too far away from that.
No, not yet, but I think it's driving that way. It's
It could be.
he called us like meat bags, like and he said I'm talking about Novel Harare, right? He said that the only thing that's left for humans is to keep them busy with video games and drugs. They're going to give us a stipend every month to live off of. Not us, but I mean future
I don't
generations.
know. That's not true because within 10 years, we'll have, well, within, what is this, 2025, 2027, we'll already have a moon colony. By 2030, we'll have a decent sized moon colony. Not just us, so will China and Russia. We'll be on Mars by 2035. We're leaving this planet. We're not getting stuck here. Humans are exploring, especially Americans and Australians and Canadians. They're all
Yeah,
exploring
first
nature.
world countries.
You
Yeah.
know, so these are countries that we want to go explore. Screw you. You want
Yeah.
to stay on Earth? That's your business. You want to stay here and get a siphon and live and look at, like in the TV series Expanse? That's your business. I'm going to go live on Mars or Venus, go live out at Proxima Centauri, somewhere, hop on a spaceship. No, humans, that's not who we are. You can't try to keep humans down. That's why communism and socialism have never worked for thousands
Never.
of years because eventually humans get sick of it and they rebel. And like in China, yeah, China can do stuff, but China has 1.4 billion people. If they decide to rebel, China's screwed. Well, you could
Yeah.
just kill them all, then you don't have a country left.
That's not going to be for hundreds of years, though, right, Joe? I mean, we're not going to really be able to.
No, we'll be on Mars. We'll have a population of 1 million on Mars before the turn of the next century. Easy. Probably more than that.
Yeah, but
Unless,
don't they have to terraform the
no,
planet?
that's not how it's going to work at first. So I'll give you a quick rundown on it. So
Yeah.
right now, what we're doing is we're building these ships so that they can be sent back and forth. So they're going to be loaded with supplies. There's always going to be 50 ships with supplies and 50 ships with humans or robots headed back and forth. So originally, when we talked about this was going to be a one-way trip for humans. Now it's not. Now you can go to Mars and come back. And it's not going to take 2 years each direction. Right now, Elon says they can get you there in 5 months. With their new engines they're talking about, they might be able to get you there in 2 months. So it's two
Jeez.
months there, 2 months back. That's not even a big ocean trip.
Yeah.
And that's just a standard technology. That's not any advanced FTL technology, anything.
Yeah.
So here we're going back and forth. Now we're going to be landing ships there. All these ships are going to have robots and stuff on them. Some of those ships are going to be left there and used for temporary colonies, and robots are going to set up everything. Eventually, he'll start sending boring machines there on his thing. They'll start boring in the Olympus Mons
Oh,
and
yeah.
building a colony in there. And by 2040, he'll have 100,000 people living on Mars. And from that point, it will just grow and grow and grow. Because once we get inside, like if we go inside and find a bunch of cabins inside of Olympus Mons and we start blocking them off so we can pressurize them, that means we can have oxygen in there with pressure so we don't have to wear suits and we can move around freely. And
But
we
I
can.
don't understand. What do you think the benefit is? Like, why leave a beautiful planet like Earth that has everything we need, the beauty of nature, everything that we need to go live on a dead planet that we have to terraform? Like,
Well,
where's
because at the rate we're going in 10 years, there'll be 15 billion. In 50 years, there'll be 60 billion.
so it's
Yeah,
about population, you're saying?
yeah, and we'll be a miserable planet. So
Yeah,
current think tanks that Earth can handle 25 billion people if you turn all of South America into farmland, and that you double the growth of plankton in the ocean because that's where most of our oxygen comes from. And if
right.
we do those two things, we can sustain 25 billion people on the planet. But now we're developing plants that can produce 8 times, 10 times the oxygen that can. So that's what we're sending to these colonies, and then
Yeah,
we're going to,
they need
eventually, yeah,
they need to do birth control in these third world countries
you
because
know.
that's where the massive population growth is coming from.
Well, so there's some weird stuff going on with that too. It's interesting you brought that up because China has just recently found themselves in a pickle. China
I
used to
heard
have
that.
restrictions on female births. We all know that in the day. They took them off, but they used to have restrictions.
Yep,
All of a sudden, they're finding themselves, well, let's just say a very small birthing group of
I
females.
heard that.
So they're expected to lose almost half their population over the next 50 to 75 years. That's outrageous. And China and India is not though. India somehow or another is just humping the bump over there, man. They're
Yeah,
crazy.
terrible.
I mean, they
Africa,
were, they used to be smaller than China.
yeah, Africa too. It's got to be under control because that's where the majority of the overpopulation is coming from. These
Well,
countries.
because down there you're having 3 births for every one death. Like in the United States, you have one death for every 1.5 births. So we're barely staying ahead of the curve. And they said for us, if we don't do something, we could find ourselves in the same spot. Because America used to be an average family was 4 or 5. Today, an average family is
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
even. It's one.
No, nobody is saying that, MacArthur. He's saying why have birth controls in black country? It's the third world country.
What about black countries? Not all third world countries are black.
Right.
It's when you get into South America, there's a lot of third world white and we'll say beige countries. But the problem here is and maybe birth control is not the right way of going. I mean, the United States used to give billions of dollars. We gave the Middle East $50 million for condoms. We gave Africa $100 million in condoms.
Yeah.
But they're not going to use them. We can do birth control, but if they're not going to use it, they're not going to use it. And only a country can force. But I will tell you this secret: make birth control for men, and population will decrease on this planet.
Yeah.
They've
Yeah.
already showed in every country Germany has birth control for men. They had to stop it. It almost caused irreparable damage to the because
Yeah.
men are different. We view having children differently. Whereas,
Yeah, like you can't if a country, any country, it doesn't matter what color, if they can't support and feed their own people, they should be concerned about population.
they
That's
should
it.
they should be concerned about population and how they can make things better for the population they do have. That,
Exactly, that they have.
but
Exactly.
when you have populations that are having those many children, it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's not just about feeding them. People have to have medical care. What's the use of letting a
Exactly.
child be born that's going to live for 5 years and die from starvation?
Exactly. That's
So
it. It's a whole
no
package.
one on this planet in 2025 should be without a place to live or without
That's
food. There's no effing need for it.
correct.
None.
That is
And the
correct.
fact that we have these conversations irks me because really and truly, we shouldn't be here. Honestly, when I was a kid, I honestly used to tell myself all the time when I was in the 70s and 80s that, by 2020, we'll be an enlightened world. Yeah, well, I was an
Oh,
idiot
yeah,
apparently.
sure.
Apparently, I was a big old idiot at that.
Yeah.
It's
It's like clown world, Joe. It's like clown world. I'm telling you.
it's crazy, and it's crazy. And a friend of mine the other day, because he knows, he knows I do politics on Friday night, and he's like, I don't know how you do it. he said, you got to listen to this crazy and that crazy. I said, yeah. I said, I can get away with it because I'm an equal opportunity hater. I hate on both sides. I said, right now, unfortunately, the Democrats are much easier to hate on. I
Yeah.
said, and I said, but that always changes. And just a couple months ago, or a couple of years ago, I was hating on Trump. I said, it's just a matter of what's going on. I said, but in the end, that's not what our problem is. Our problem is a human race itself.
Yeah.
We're too eager to follow and not pay attention to what we're following. I
Exactly.
understand by nature we're pack animals. I do understand that. A couple of little leaders and everybody else is like cows following ahead behind the bull.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand that, but you know what? People sometimes have to stand up and say, okay, this is bullshit. And you can't just go around and stand up acting crazy and making outlandish statements. You need something that everyone can buy, not just part of everyone can buy.
Well, you know what the problem is too, Joe? You've got the news, right? Which they're the propagators of and disseminators of all of this crap that's going on because they want us to hate each other and fight red against blue, white against black. It's this is what they do. They propagate this information and humans fall for it. You know, you watch the toxic news, you're on social media listening to all this toxic crap, and eventually it's like brainwashing. It's like a form of brainwashing.
Yeah, well, it is a form of brainwashing.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I tell people, people ask me what news you watch, I said, well, if you want to know the truth, I said, if you come into my house on my Roku television, I said, you'll notice that there's 12 news feeds. I said, there's ABC, NBC, CBS. There's also CBC,
Yeah,
which is Canadian. There's also Euro News, Sky News, both
right.
Australian and British Sky News. There's also Fox, C-SPAN. What's those other two conservatives? Something Newsmax and One American News. And then, of course, I put MSNBC, CNN, Reuters, and Today on USA Today on this. I watch all of them. And the reason I do is because they're all freaking idiots.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like you can watch 5 liberal channels and see something, and each time they give a number, it's different. You can do the same thing on the conservative,
correct.
and each time it's
Yeah,
different.
that's what
And
I'm saying. That's
it's
exactly what I'm saying. It's
and
not
then,
intentional.
yeah, it is. And then they get stuck in talking points. So you can go listen, and we're going to use the Democrats right now because it's a lot easier to find right now than the Republicans, but they've done this too. They use these talking points. So if you go on like MSNBC, any of their shows are using the exact same talking points.
Exactly.
If you
I've
go on
seen
any
those
other
reels.
channel, yeah,
They just keep repeating the same
and,
crappy
and it's
diatribe.
not just them; it's the politicians too, the Democrat politicians. So they're stuck in a loop
Absolutely.
right now. But the reason I said that is because I want the Republicans have been guilty of this in the past. Right now, they're not. They're the party in control, so they don't have to be.
Right.
But unfortunately for the Democrats, they're not, and they've done so many stupid things lately that it seems like stupid. It's the only thing they have left. And then of course, we had someone like Joe Biden, and then there's this other problem for all of this. We got all this crazy stuff going on in our country. Everything needs to be taken care of, and then I have to hear about Epstein 10 times a day.
Oh, it's because you see, these are the false flags that we get fed. Because if you look at the Hegelian from Hegel, who developed the Hegelian dialectic, right? Which is problem, reaction, solution. So that's what they do. They create the problem, they wait for your reaction, and then they provide the solution. Just happens to be. It's all, people need to wake up to this. And what's interesting, more and more people are saying they want, like, here, he just said, I don't care about race. I just want full UFO disclosure, MacArthur said. And a lot of people are saying that. They just want the truth from somewhere, Joe. They're
Like,
tired of being lied to.
all right, why is this thing stuck, man? Why is my ugly face stuck?
Oh, it sometimes it
Oh,
freezes. There you
yeah. Oh, that's because I was fiddling with it.
Yeah, you're good.
We've got a lot to overcome. I guess is the best way to
Yeah,
do it. As a planet, there's so many of these lying agendas in so many ways. All my conspiracy friends like to remind me of the Bilderbergs and the Masons and Skull
right.
and Bones, and they're going on and on with these lists and the Templars, and I'm like, what about them? Well, they're taking over the world. I said, no, they're not. They can't even stand each other.
Yeah,
I said they would have to unite to take over the world. They hate each other. None of them have the same agendas. they're all working different things. They all want different things, and they all want to be worshipped. So you're not going to get one group to worship the other group because they think they're
Yeah.
better. So that's not going to happen. That's
Yeah.
just over with. Maybe at one time they were going to try, but the
I
only
don't
group
know.
that could have took over would have been the Templars way back when. But the French
Yeah.
saw that. They said, "Nah, we know what you're up to. Goodbye," and killed them all. So that was the end of that. They said, "Nah, we're not
Yeah.
going to let you get away with that. We know the king heard what you're up to, buddy. We're going to fix this problem right now."
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I hope we get disclosure at some point, but we've got
Well,
like a minute. We've got like a minute left,
oh,
Joe.
wait, real quick though, because I seen that
Yeah.
about the UFO disclosure thing. So
Yeah.
first off, only two-term presidents get disclosed, and not all of them. Unfortunately, they wouldn't tell Clinton. I don't know why. We know Ronald Reagan knew. We knew George Bush Sr. knew, but he was head of the CIA, and we're pretty sure George Bush Sr. told Baby Bush. Barack didn't know. Joe Biden didn't know. Quite a few presidents didn't know.
Right.
May know, they may have told me, but probably not. They probably won't tell him for another year. But remember this: I've given disclosure. I've given testimony to Congress twice now, behind closed doors, private testimony. Um, Nothing like anything y'all have heard on the floor because it's nothing like that. I was there for different reasons.
Hmm.
I was there for hardcore information. And the thing about it is they won't even that Trump won't even see that information probably from a year. They'll probably go through it.
No, he said he had it, right? Didn't he say he
No,
had
he
it?
doesn't have it. He can't even go to Area 51. Do you know that presidents aren't allowed at Area 51? Don't need to know.
I
For
heard that.
28
That's
years.
crazy.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
only in office for 8 years, so they don't have to let them in. They're not lifetime
Yeah.
servers. So, you could force your way, and I imagine if you really wanted to, you could call up Pete Hegseth and say, look, I want to go in Area 51. And I'm
Yeah.
sure Pete would arrange it. But as far as I know, there's ever only been one president that's ever visited, and he died a long, long, long time ago. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Who was that? Roosevelt? No. Who?
they
Yeah.
can be in there. They'll let me in.
Yeah.
See anything, but they'll let me in. I don't have a choice. It's funny about clearances is you use your clearances to get it in a lot of places, but that don't mean they're going to show you anything.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, like, man, come on in. Oh, want to see the cafeteria? Like, don't they make good hamburgers here? Don't they? Out here at Area 50. Oh,
Well, thank
look
you.
at this
Have
look
to,
at this empty circle bay. Look how cute. Yeah, things like that.
right. Well, thank you so much, Joe. It's always such a joy having you on. And of course, when the new year rolls around, we're going to have you back to continue this because I still didn't ask you about 3i Atlas, but we'll do that next time.
Oh yeah, Mr. Atlas.
Yeah.
Oh,
We got
people,
to
I'm on again. And wait, what time is it? I'm on. Oh shit, I'm on in an hour. I go live on my own show in an hour. So
go.
I'll be
Right.
Thanks again, sweet.
All right. Thank you, Joe. I'll see you again soon, dear.
Okay, babe. Ooh, it's
Thank
cold.
you. Well, thank you all so much. We greatly appreciate you in the chat. We loved hearing your questions and comments. And it's now 6 o'clock, so we have to go. Bye. Love you all. We'll see you. Happy Thanksgiving. And we'll see you on Friday. Take care. Bye bye.